All right, so we are live and going. So when we last met a couple of weeks ago, we had the privilege of meeting a few new folks that were interested in filling our vacancies on the committee. And we've got some decisions to make now. And Tara and I talked shortly after the meeting, and there were two individuals that we thought would be great, but it seems as though the best course of action is to kind of open it up to discussion amongst those of us who are here this evening to see if we're all we can reach some agreement, and we'll get a written recommendation to Terry so that we can move forward with getting the vacancies filled prior to town meeting. So,
wow, that's a speedy turnaround.
Yes, there's not a lot of time. I talked to Terry last week, and it seems like, given COVID, we are kind of lucky that the select board is meeting so regularly, so we're able to kind of make this happen quickly. If this was a normal year, it may be a far different story. So this may be the one time, at least in the last few months for me, that COVID is actually helping us out a little bit. So, but yeah, so with that, I don't know if any of you all had any particular things that you wanted to discuss, people that out of the four folks that joined us last week or 2 weeks ago or so, if there's anything new.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful if the two people recommended could be introduced kind of again, and we'd love to hear, the reasons why, if other people agree.
Okay, I agree. The reason I had questioned whether we would discuss this as a whole group is because the person that I had found more that I was leaning towards the most was the one person of the three most likely candidates who wasn't chosen. And so I just wanted to know sort of what went into that decision so that we can learn more about what you and Tara were looking for, what you felt was, the holes that needed filling in the committee.
So we liked a couple of things about Laura and Kathleen. One being, to use the term diversity kind of loosely, they have, kind of both were diverse within Concord. Kathleen is in West Concord, uses Fowler, has kids who are a little bit older but are still in the school system, and use the library for those resources. Laura had a great knowledge of library systems and seemed as though she could be her experience would be really beneficial as we approach kind of the long-term plan, hopefully at some point in the near term. So we kind of thought the experiences that they both brought were unique enough and would fill the vacancies in the committee as we look to what we're going to tackle in the coming year. Okay. We had no criticism of, now I'm blanking on her name.
Mara Dolan, yeah.
We had no particular criticism about her at all, and thought it would be worth, if we move forward with Laura and Kathleen, keeping her in mind for future openings on the committee.
Okay. And Kathy made it clear that her interest was minimal in the committee, so that was sort of a no.
Yeah, and I think she reached out to Tara after the last meeting too, and kind of reiterated that she, thought maybe, kind of volunteering here and there would be something that she'd be more comfortable doing as opposed to being an active member of the committee.
One thing that is interesting to me about Kathleen is that, like Dennis, who's leaving, she has a lot of experience in libraries already. And so that's, and a master's in library science.
Right.
She and, Kathleen and Mara both said that they were Fowler fans.
Yes.
They're both in West Concord.
And I think, we were trying to figure out and be mindful and respectful of personalities and what, the mix of people currently in the committee and then in potential new members, and how we would all, get along and maintain, not that there would be any, uncomfortable conversation, but, that we would it would be a good mesh of personalities that would allow us to kind of maximize the time we have each month together. So.
Okay. My particular interest in having Mara serve on the committee is her social work background.
Mhm.
But already with me and Tara both on the board, it's
Right.
on the committee, it's duplicating some of
And
that.
Tara did make a comment about that,
Yeah.
about the amount of social workers. How many social workers on one committee is too many? So.
I don't particularly have a horse in the race. I was interested to know more about what went into the decision.
Mhm. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns about conversations and kind of what went into that recommendation?
No, I was very impressed with the caliber of the people who had submitted green cards, and I thought, wow, this is getting to be quite an impressive committee. I'm very impressed.
Maybe we need T-shirts.
So I'll leave it to you to come up with a clever slogan.
No, I always think that when you're in a committee or a group or a club or something, you need T-shirts. But I'm only joking. It's better to have masks.
There, Kristen, there you go.
Got it.
Official library committee masks.
I'll have to get some book fabric and I'll be off to the races.
All right.
Yeah, read a book.
Okay.
All right. So are you comfortable with that, Kristen? I'm happy to chat a little bit further if if there's anything. I see both Terry and Carrie raising hands.
Terry, you go first.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to mention, because Dennis is in his first term, one term for the candidates would be longer because they have the opportunity to finish Dennis's and then have an additional 6 years of their own. So I don't know. They're not equivalent terms that are open at this point. So you might want to think about which you're recommending for each.
Mhm. That's a good point. I think that's the exact situation that I entered the committee on as well. So, yeah, I mean, does anybody have any thoughts on that? That's something, Carrie, that I don't think Tara or I considered. Who would be filling which vacancy? So.
I think it would be important to check with the candidates because a 9-year term is quite a commitment. I mean, 6 years seems very manageable to me, but 9 years is practically a lifetime.
Would the minimal commitment be finishing Dennis's term, or would the minimal commitment be finishing Dennis's term and then an additional 3 years? Because it's not a 6-year term, right? It's 2 3-year terms.
Yes, right.
So then are we expecting a candidate to finish Dennis's term and then go on, or can they finish Dennis's term and then rotate out naturally when he would have or could have?
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Is that something that's better to decide now, or do we just kind of?
I think it's better to decide now.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, so that we're not kind of blundering around and people saying,
Right.
I'm sorry, Terry.
Well, no, I was going to agree. I think there's a couple of process things. So first of all, just so I'm on the right page, I had to miss the meeting. There was a big public hearing going on that night. So you had 3 candidates or you had 4?
4.
And one has dropped out?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my understanding.
Okay, so it sounds like whoever is not selected, you might want to wait till the select board finishes appointing and everything. But the person who is not selected, and maybe even the person who dropped out, should get a nice note, probably from you, Lindsay, just because in the future, in general, we have a lot of trouble recruiting candidates for these committees, all committees in town. It's a big commitment. And this is great that you've gotten such high caliber people and you want to encourage them for the future or for another town board, whatever. So just a quick note. And then, yes, you should choose which person is going to fill Dennis's term and which person is the new, so that when we make the motion to appoint them, we will have the right dates in there, and they will be sworn in properly, and they'll be able to attend your meeting, hopefully, in September.
Mhm.
So you can agree tonight that Lindsay can talk with the candidates, and if that's what you want to do, and see what works for them, or you can make a recommendation. Either way, as long as Lindsay, then you send to me exactly, our committee recommends this person for this term,
Mhm.
this term, and then
Okay.
I'll forward that along.
Okay.
Am I right that Dennis had 1 year left in his term? Is that right?
I think that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
basically offering a 4-year term and a 3-year term? But we're not offering a 1-year term to anyone, is that correct?
Oh,
Just double checking.
I'm not sure that you give just a 1-year term. I think it's to finish somebody's term and then to take a regular term.
That's what I'm checking. So we're offering basically a 4-year term and a 3-year term to the 2 candidates that we would.
1 plus
Right.
3.
Right.
but that may require 2 different votes by the select board, one for the 1 year, and then next year, another vote to put them on for the 3 years.
Out of curiosity, Stu and I came on at the same time. Were we both filling in for people whose terms ended naturally, like at the right time?
Yes, I think I saw the dead body, and
So you're not supposed to say that.
no,
It's a se-
but it was a good friend.
Yeah.
I'm also wondering, just parenthetically, but not to sort of take up too much time, is that it would be nice if we can figure out a way to get more men, on the committee.
Mhm.
And that's something that we might want to appeal to former members as to, what they can do to help. Because I know that a lot of committees often get people recruited by former members.
Mhm.
And it's really nice to have, age difference,
Mhm.
geographical difference, all kinds of things. And we should remember that we're trying to also get more diversity, of people racially and otherwise.
Mhm.
So sorry, Kristen.
No, I was recruited. That's all. I was just owning up to the fact that I never told me this.
Good. Yeah.
I think taking all of that into account, my recommendation would be that we have Laura Klein take Dennis's spot on the committee and have her kind of fill out the remaining year on Dennis's term, and then be eligible for the to continue on and for the 3 years after that. And I defer to Terry if we need to have, if the select board needs to have 2 votes on that, but we could do that and then have Kathleen fill the regular vacancy that Mav will be leaving.
I agree. I think that's a good decision, good recommendation.
Sounds good.
So does someone have to move that and second it, or?
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay.
I second.
Great. All right, so I will, as a next step, Terry, I will get a letter to you from the committee making those 2 recommendations, and then wait to hear.
Great.
All
Thank-
right. Great. Well, thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time on a Monday
Congratulations,
night.
Lindsay. Congratulations.
Thank you. We'll see you guys all in just a few weeks
Okay.
in September. All right.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Okay, terrific.
Night.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Bye now.
you.